Fort Bend County Judge-elect K.P. George still has an accent 25 years after immigrating to the U.S.
I thought it was much closer.
But he made history last night, no matter how you say it.
I am the first South Asian county judge, period, in state of Texas.
And furthermore, will faithfully perform.
Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George is waking up this morning a convicted felon. The twice-elected judge was found guilty.
A sitting judge is convicted for money laundering, facing up to 10 years, and that's not even the craziest part, because before this, he was accused of faking racist attacks against himself. Fake accounts, fake outrage, and investigators say he approved it.
Judge K.P. George was booked into jail just after 7 p.m. This is his mugshot. George is accused of posting fake racist messages to make it appear he was the target of hate during his 2022 re-election.
According to the search warrant, County Judge K.P. George not only knew Patel had allegedly posted all the awful racist remarks, he signed off on them.
Oh, puppet master, straight up, nothing but that. Taro Patel was drafting and creating the post to put up and then getting approval. Let me know if you approve. I'll share the post with my fake account. Unbelievable. That works. Thank you. Post.
Good afternoon, beautiful people, and welcome to Nelly Miranda. Before we talk about who K.P. George was, you need to understand what he's accused of doing. During an election, a mysterious account appears online, Antonio Scallywag. And this account starts posting racist attacks targeting K.P. George.
Now, a warrant shows George coordinated with an employee to post those racist comments during his 2022 re-election campaign.
Last maybe few weeks, maybe a month or so, it started heating up. This has to stop. And the sad thing about it is many of these people are my opponent supporters. And that is, I haven't heard anything from my opponent denouncing this action, and that is concerning.
And naturally, George goes public. He says that the hate is rising. He calls it out, positioning himself as the target. And politically, that matters because being seen as a victim of racism can shift an entire election.
And using their own posts, because it's not like what I said, this is their own post. So I don't think it can be more convincing than that.
But these posts from 2022, investigators didn't think were convincing.
Though the fake posts weren't convincing, let me talk to you about something that is convincing. Chapter. A lot of families end up helping their parents figure out Medicare, and it can honestly get confusing very quickly. There's different plans, different coverage, different costs. And most people assume that once you pick a plan, that's the end of it. But the reality is millions of seniors are actually on the wrong Medicare plan and don't even know it, simply because they never go back and review their options. And that is why I partnered with Chapter, because Chapter connects you with licensed Medicare advisors who compare every plan available nationwide, not just one insurance company. Their job is to help you understand your options based on your doctors, prescriptions, and budget. The call is free. It takes less than 20 minutes, and you're talking to a real person with no pressure at all to sign up. And on average, people who review their plans with Chapter save about $1,100 per year, which can really add up over time. So if you're 65 and up and on Medicare, or just helping a parent navigate it, it might be worth taking a few minutes just to see what your options are. For complete Medicare guidance, you can dial 646-817-8160. That is 646-817-8160, or go to askchapter.org/Nelly. Now back to the story. Investigators later discovered that the account wasn't a random troll nor a political opponent, but that it was coming from his own circle.
Taro Patel, known online as Antonio Scallywag, has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of misrepresentation of identity by a candidate. Investigators say Patel used a fake account to post racist attacks targeting himself and Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George. In his plea, Patel admitted to committing the crime along with George, who is also charged in this investigation. As part of the plea, Patel will have to complete hundreds of hours of community service, donate to a local charity, and send apology letters to Fort Bend County residents. In that letter, Patel wrote in part, quote, "I ask you for grace and kindness, even if it's not deserved. I ask for your forgiveness. I promise I will dedicate myself even more fiercely to doing good, helping others, and restoring trust."
The sheer desperation to fake racism for political advancement is insane. They were playing a game of, let me know if you approve it, I'll post it. Okay, do it, post it. Now, here's where the story turns into a full-blown corruption case. While investigators are digging into the fake posts, they uncover something else: money, suspicious transactions, campaign funds, financial irregularities between $30,000 and $150,000.
Fort Bend County Judge KP George is waking up this morning a convicted felon. The twice-elected judge was found guilty on 2 felony counts of money laundering. A jury is convinced that George used more than $46,000 in campaign dollars for personal expenses, including a down payment on his home.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle Prasad George, guilty of money laundering, third-degree felony, is charged in the indictment.
Judge George was silent. You can see on his face there, he just had no expression when the guilty verdict was read on Friday afternoon. Shortly thereafter, Fort Bend County deputies then handcuffed George and escorted him out of the courtroom.
So you have a judge linked to fake hate crimes and financial crimes, and yet his lawyers were surprised by the verdict.
George's defense team says the verdict surprised them.
Given the evidence or the lack of evidence, I clearly thought there was reasonable doubt, but every good lawyer will tell you that you never know what a jury's going to do. You don't know what 12 people get back there, what particular piece of evidence they've heard over almost 2 weeks.
Judge George bonded out of the county jail Friday evening with a $20,000 bond. George could face up to 10 years in prison. The judge set sentencing for June 16th. Now, prosecutors say George will have to wait until then to appeal his conviction.
Now, here's where voters step in, because despite all of this chaos, literally in the middle of a legal battle, KP George announced switching parties.
As I make the all-important announcement that I am officially joining the Republican Party, for the past few years has become very clear to me, and also many others, that Democratic Party has become one of corrupt and radical political ideology and positions that simply do not reflect the values of Fort Bend County families and small businesses, also hardworking residents of Fort Bend County.
He tried to run again as a Republican this time, but voters were not buying it. They rejected him.
And closely considering Judge KP George, the incumbent switched from Democrat to Republican after his criminal charges related to his previous re-election campaigns. Judge George, in fact, finished in last with less than 10% of the vote.
So he didn't just lose, he finished dead last with less than 10% of the vote. And I think this is the part that really matters, because for a long time, people have felt like politicians can say anything, do anything, spin any kind of narrative, and still win. But in this case, voters looked at everything, the fake posts, the investigations, the charges, and they said, next. Here's what the 2 frontrunners from both sides had to say about Shady George.
Well, the big surprise here, of course, is the fact that there will be a new county judge here in Fort Bend County come November, because KP George, in the early voting that came out, was dramatically behind. Also cut up with Daniel Wong, the Republican frontrunner, at his gathering here in Richmond to ask them specifically about what was the message Fort Bend County voters sent tonight by their vote, and KP George coming up short.
Running last year, what I've been hearing is they don't want KP George. They do not want KP George to continue to be our county judge from both aisles. Actually, he's not just Republican. From the other side, that's why he switched party to come to Republican Party. But Republican Party is not going to welcome him. And tonight is show.
I think people see right through politicians who operate in scandal and self-dealing. And what they affirmed tonight, they rejected it. And they said we're ready for a new direction. And that's very exciting for our community and for the working families here.
Well, the same man who once stood on a stage saying that he made history is making headlines again for the wrong reasons. My questions for you are, do you think stories like this are becoming more common, or are just people finally getting caught? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you got any value from today's video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.